Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Sonic 2006 and a new team of people here with Gertrude Perkins.
Hello.
And NGDBSS.
Hi there.
Hi, glad to have both of you here. So,
it's lovely to be back.
Yeah, wonderful. So, this level is still very long, slightly tedious, and the hardest parts are at the end, so you're going to really feel it when you die. Which I did, which we're going to see. So this first segment, however, profits from that because it's going to be relatively efficient.
Yeah, so on this revisit, I am finding myself drawn to the little set pieces that they programmed in to show off Silver's psychic powers, like building the stairway and bending the bars.
Mm-hmm. And these things here, you're supposed to use them, you know, but you don't have to.
Oh, right.
Of course.
And it makes me wonder whether someone on the dev team might have had a thing in mind for like a full sort of physics showcase that worked.
Absolutely. We were talking a little bit about that in the previous episodes, but we did notice in some of the hard mode videos that stuff works a little bit better in some of them. Like not this one here, this is still a tragedy, but it works a little bit better in Crisis City, for example. Then see, it doesn't work at all. Than it did in the normal mode, and we came to the conclusion that there probably was a working version of the level, and that got split into a hard mode and a normal mode because I didn't have time to like make a proper good hard mode version or a good normal mode version that is balanced for a first time playthrough or something. And that's why you sometimes see the true version of the level emerge only here in the hard mode. And it's very interesting to think about these kinds of intents, and I think so that sometimes you can finally see the developers' visions for what they could do with the physics and such, but not always.
Oh no.
Like, I'm sure that what is happening here with the bridge is entirely unintended, because that was super fucking awkward in the normal mode, and it remains so here as well. Like, this is terrible, this part. I hate it a lot. Got me killed a lot in the normal mode as well.
What? Oh dear, that camera.
Yep. Also, here there is a guy with a machine gun behind the camera now, and this was very close. Like, I was down to 0 rings, one more hit of the machine gun, I would have been dead. And there is no good way of taking care of it now. So this guy is unique to hard mode here. It's actually quite hard having him here. And I think in normal mode the spring actually also deposits you on the platform. So now it's like, And also, what we saw in a failure reel in normal mode, if I do not throw this guy at this platform, I'm soft locked. Because I can't get off that platform without dying, and I need this platform to be lowered, and I'm out of projectiles if all the enemies die.
So, not even if you do the speedrunner thing of feathering the power button?
I mean, yes, sure, but this is entirely unintended, of course. And I don't know if you can do it once you got the Psycho Shock. I'm not super sure. Also, I have never learned how to do it, to be quite honest. So I would have been soft-locked, and any normal player would have to.
Feel like
finally go through this here without getting hurt.
What's it?
Twice. Sorry, what were you saying?
Feel like the Metal Wolf Chaos would know how to feather that sort of thing. Well, the Metal Wolf Chaos crowd.
I'll accept that reference even though I don't know it.
Oh, like, one of the ways to get around quickly is this same sort of means by feathering a dash.
Mm-hmm. So like the hover I'm doing sometimes. This one's also quite tough, actually. So sometimes you do have these setups with Silver where the added enemies actually do make it a lot harder. I felt like in the previous levels we have seen in hard mode that wasn't really the case. It was just a little bit more tedious, or it's just like, oh cool, more points that I can gather at once with my Psycho Shock. But here it's like, yeah, add a little bit more machine guns, more explosions.
No, the physics did not enjoy doing that.
Yeah, but I mean that is also like that in the normal mode. So for this one here, I'm just pretending that the bridge is still there. It is always going to fall, but let's just assume that the bridge is there, because we didn't see this route in the normal mode, so I'm doing this here now. Doing a speedrun trick to get in the middle of these guys, which you can usually ambush. If the bridge goes down, you come from below. But this is how it's supposed to go, they come from the start. It's not how it's supposed to go. I was supposed to hit that guy with his own projectile and kill him instantly, but you know. Also a subtle thing which is not entirely obvious if you haven't played the normal mode before in a while, most of these second waves of enemies spawning in were not there in the normal mode. Like in the very first room, the enemy spawning behind me after the door has already opened, that's a nasty surprise that only the hard mode has.
It does definitely feel like, I mean obviously it's hard mode, but as a challenge it feels a bit more complete, this experience.
Absolutely, and I do think, again, this is like a sign of this being the original vision of this level, and then they tuned it down without really accounting for like proper design. It's just like, okay, this is a little bit too tough, let's just cut this guy here completely, and then you have an empty spot in the level basically for the normal mode. Again, difficult here, dangerous for sure. This is also a part where I'm like, haha, I'm just gonna hoof it, oops. That's a bit weird for the normal mode, but it makes a proper and refined challenge for the hard mode. So in one sense you could say that playing the hard mode is actually like a form of intended experience. Worthwhile to experience, I don't know, you know, it's still 06. But if you like the game like I do, it's like it's not wasted time in that sense. But it's not adding that much, to get honest. It's still true that the hard mode is a bit pointless, but the levels sometimes are more fun. Yeah.
I wonder if instead of like actively cutting out enemies or whatever, that they could just tone down the enemy aggression or something like that.
That's
make them stagger their attacks more, or have like larger pauses between any given enemy doing an attack on lower difficulties.
Something what they are actually doing right now here is like, this was cool by the way, like that, is adding these red versions of the enemies here. Usually in normal mode you only see the silver ones, and they have less lasers, they are less aggressive, so in a way your idea is actually what they are doing here. They do have separate enemies for that, not separate behaviors, which would be ideal and going a little far. Yeah, I mean, this is not Devil May Cry, you know. There you actually, when you go up in difficulty, you have more and more difficultly acting enemies. But they're trying a little bit here.
Yeah.
And also I'm speedrunning like crazy. I'm on fire in this video.
This is definitely some of the most professional playing I have seen from this LP.
Thank you. I mean, I have vast amounts of experience, so this was after a break, so I think I just got silver at this point. Oh yeah, also again, enemies spawning in behind you, which is rude, but it's fine for a hard mode, you know?
Yeah, on the one hand, they knock off all your rings, but you could still pick up.
Yeah,
enough.
And also, I realized it just in time. If I had realized it like a second quicker, or hammered the pick up projectile button a little faster, then it would have been fine here. Like, it's not the first time the level has pulled the trick, like it's reasonable to expect that. Also, yeah, it's this part with Sonic. Again, it's exactly the same part, at least they also copied the Sonic hard mode part, which is just a little bit butts, because getting to the first enemy up here to start this offset chain is always a nightmare in frustration, because you're like, inching a little bit along that rope is like, I'm going to die, and there's going to be 8 minutes wasted. But I made it.
One thing I do, I don't know if I should thank or complain to you about, is that I've seen so much of Sonic 06 that, through your LP and previous LPs from other folks, that soundtrack elements from the game have started just creeping into my head at random points, including including this like ethereal breakbeat with the wordless ahs in the soundtrack for some reason.
Interesting, because I think that the soundtrack has grown a little bit on me, but I've never really liked it, and this is one of the tracks where I'm just like, this is nothing to me.
Oh, it is nothing, but my brain has latched onto it as a thing just from overexposure.
Yeah, it's just
I can kind of get it. At some point, it also
earworms.
breaks into my brain as well. So there's something interesting I'm going to do here is go over here, which is something I also didn't do in the normal mode at all, because this is a breakable window. But how do I break the window? Like, I don't know how it's actually intended to break this window, but the enemies are going to do it for me. So that's nice of them. Like, as you can see, I was trying to figure it out because there should be a box here or something. But yeah, this is how you get in here, and there is actually a bonus in here. There is an extra life and 20 rings, which is substantial. Yeah, so it's nice. I like that, and I like that there is still stuff to discover in this game.
Oh god, that tower just like being
great,
pulled around by an invisible hand.
Yeah, it's a very Gary's Mod feel to some of the physics in this stage, especially with so many big things just wibbling together.
Yeah, this is definitely like, oh yeah, this is gonna look awesome if you refine it a little bit. Well,
And then they didn't have any time for any refinement.
exactly. Speaking of refinement, this here is definitely a hard mode thing. Like, I doubt that this was originally in the original vision of the level, because this sucks. You have to hit that tower to progress, but the auto-aim of Silver's telekinesis, of course, is always going towards the enemies. And that means that he's going to hit all of the weird orbital things, like the options, I guess, in Gradius terms. And that means it's very hard to actually hit the tower. And the options are also objects which can damage you, so I'm in grave danger here. It's like, hurry the fuck up! I need to get off this ride.
And then, just like in Lord of the Rings, there is an eagle there to rescue you from the pits of
who I said should hurry up. So this one here is also quite difficult, with 3 rings and people machine gunning very soon, because once they have lost their thing, there comes out the machine guns, and this is very, very, very tough to survive here. I'm trying my level best to take out the big robots, which are for once actually a huge threat and a big danger zone to go in here, because you start with so little rings here after the previous disaster, and avoiding all of these explosions is oof, my friends. It's oof.
I mean, before the recording you were briefly talking about Magic the Gathering, and I'm kind of reminded of that the only ring that really matters is the last one.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this has always been true in Sonic, but I think in this sense, actually, the machine guns being added as just a way to siphon rings away from you, even if you are in Mercy Invincibility, is actually brilliant. It's such a good idea to make, like, enemies a threat that couldn't possibly be one before, if you could always just get that last ring. But in this case here, this fight is just really hard because of that, especially because controlling Silver is a crapshoot at the best of times, and trying to get a sense of what's happening in this case without getting hit all the time. I was getting hit a lot, but yeah, it's difficult. Anyway, this is the only hard mode video. Oh yeah, S-rank is not a problem. You just don't have to die. By the way, cool speedrun tricks, Simon. Love it.
Speaking of dying.
Yeah, be careful what you're doing, and yeah, just to show off. Yeah, you probably can guess what's going to happen.
Oh, I initially figured that somehow the eagle would dump you in the water.
No, it's just the machine guns come out. Goodbye,
Ouch.
Silver. As I said, it's tough, and that's 13 minutes lost. Thank you very much for your attention.